So, in the musical language of Ethelbert Nevin, the day dawns in picturesque and romantic Venice. In the year of 1896, while residing at this pretentious villa on the Grand Canal, Ethelbert Nevin, one of America's foremost composers, wrote his beautiful Venetian suite, in which he immortalized his impressions of a day in Venice. Centuries before America was discovered, Venice was a thriving republic, founded upon a cluster of little islands in the Adriatic Sea. But the discovery of America and the development of new trade routes beyond the Mediterranean ultimately reduced and stifled her commercial importance. But even today, Venice thrives on the glorious memories of her past. Rialto Bridge is the largest of the 378 bridges that span the innumerable canals. A remarkable feature in the construction of the bridges and buildings of Venice is the fact that their foundations are laid in banks of mud and artificially reinforced by cemented piles driven deeply into the earth. No one contributes more to the spirit of romance than does the Venetian gondolier, who has been eulogized so often in poetry and song. Back in the 11th century, when the gondoliers first appeared on the canals of Venice, their gondolas were adorned with brilliant colors. In fact, this color display became so competitive that ultimately a sumptuary law had to be passed in which it was decreed that all gondolas must be painted in black. And although this law is now about 400 years old, it is still in effect. Apart from its romantic history, there is a busy and practical Venice in which the necessities of life are bought and sold with all the vigor of modern business. With the single exception of fish, Venice has no natural resources, and it must, therefore, depend almost entirely upon outside food supplies for its livelihood. For centuries, the art of lace-making has made Venetian lace famous throughout the world. As far back as 1542, the Venetians had established a technique that owed its perfection to the accuracy with which, in the preparation of a pattern, each thread of the linen was carefully counted. Even in the history of this craft, there is romance. For it was to Venice that the kings and queens sent for the lace which adorned their costumes, and it was made centuries ago, as it is today, by hand. But somehow the thought of industry does not seem to harmonize with the atmosphere of dreamy Venice, where romance reigns eternally, and love itself becomes that sweet diversion which Nevin glorified in his Venetian love song. And now we have come to the most historic ground in all of Venice, St. Mark's Square, the meeting place of the populace and the pivotal center of Venetian life. In the piazza of San Marco stands the famous Campanile, or bell tower, a duplicate of the original which watched over the city for 1,000 years and then suddenly collapsed in 1902. The square itself is enclosed by the most magnificent and striking buildings in Venice. Deprived as Venice is of any other considerable portion of land, the piazza is the only place in which the population can assemble for the purposes of public festivities. The Church of St. Mark's has been a receptacle for the spoils of ancient crusades, and its sanctuary still holds a motley collection of treasures from all parts of the world. The 4 bronze horses above the entrance to the church were molded about 2,000 years ago, and when Napoleon captured Venice, he ordered them to be shipped to Paris. In 1819, through the intercession of Austria, they were returned to Venice, and here they remain. The little iron men of St. Mark's have been striking the hours for hundreds of years, and this particular hour is the time for one of the religious processions which seem to be an essential part of Venetian life. And so, mellowed by years of splendor, Venice lives on, still holding an exalted place among the disciples of architecture, music, literature, and romance. Byron, Ruskin, Wagner, Liszt, and countless other men of genius have drawn upon her for their inspiration. And not the least of these was Ethelbert Nevin, composer of A Day in Venice.
For the soul